everybody. Sorry.
Hello, everybody.
Hi. Look who it is.
We don't need an introduction.
Hello.
I think we're a little late anyway, so.
Hi there. I'm Claire. I'm your host today. Nice to meet you all. You all know who this is. It's Mark-Paul Gosselaar. Yes.
Howdy.
Take a seat. Thank you so much for being here. And also, you guys are so sweet. This is my first time in Virginia. Is it yours?
I don't think so. I think I've been here before. I just can't remember. I don't know what I did last week. Are we being interrogated? I feel like I'm on the set of like Law and Order. Like
it feels like it's brighter than this. I feel like I'm on the surface of the sun up here. Yeah, I
just flew in this morning, so these bright lights are like, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Really good. No, it's okay. I'm here now.
Speaking of memory, I watched the episode that you were on of Michael Rosenbaum's podcast.
Yeah.
And you talk about memory quite a lot. You were saying that
my memory's shit. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Look,
we're all adults here, right?
It's fine. And I'm from Glasgow, so you are going to hear swear words at some point. So how does that work when you're trying to memorize?
I have a really good like flash memory. I can memorize lines really well, and I've always had that where I can just look at a piece of paper with dialogue on it and memorize it. But things that have happened in my life, people always ask like, "Well, what's your favorite episode?" Or do you remember that episode? I honestly don't. I'm not putting on an act or anything. There's just certain things in my life that I just don't remember. But things just pop up. Like the other day, we were doing a Comic-Con with Mario and Elizabeth. So yeah, I can't even remember what city it was.
You have just
Connecticut. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I don't know how my wife deals with me, but we were there, and you know, a memory just came up about cars, and I remembered like our cars that we had, because that was, I don't know, that was something that like just stayed in my brain.
I'm the same. I can memorize scripts and lines.
Yeah.
And then as soon as whatever I'm doing is over, I'm like, cat. Food. I'm just thinking about what I have to do next.
I think it's like a typewriter, right? And then once you, they were going, what's a typewriter? That was in the old days. Was like this little thing that was click clack click.
Don't
clack,
say
click,
the
clack,
old
click,
days. Oh my
click,
God,
clack.
you're making me feel old.
But yeah, no, it's or here's a good one. I'm kind of like a goldfish. I go to one side of the bowl.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, look at that. And by the time I get to the other side of the bowl, I'm like, oh, look at that.
Yeah,
and I forgot about that.
I'm just attributing it to old age. I'm getting on, rather.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you because, I mean, I barely remember what it was like to be 18, you know, being a teenager. So I wanted to start with Saved by the Bell.
What's that?
Where am I? What's going on? Am I being interrogated? Shit.
Oh, gosh.
I
I hope I never get to that point. Oh, man.
I wanted to ask, I'm not going to ask you about any specifics, but when you look back on that, is there a feeling that comes back? Just a general feeling of how you felt around about that time? Was it exciting? Was it scary?
Yeah, it was all of that. It was exciting. It was scary. It was very, very awkward. I was not that character playing this, you know, bigger than life character of Zach Morris. That was something that was on the page. I remember when I got the script for Saved by the Bell, because I'd come from Miss Bliss, and then when they changed over to Saved by the Bell, Zach was sort of more at the forefront. Yeah. And I remember going, oh my gosh, he's going to speak to the camera. This is just like Ferris Bueller. And I was such a fan of Ferris Bueller. But playing that character was always just something that it was fun for me, but it was also frightening at the same time, especially being in front of a live audience, which Saved by the Bell was, Miss Bliss wasn't. Yeah, it was. I kind of just. Zach was all the cool kids in my school because we were still going to school at the same time. I was going to a public school in LA, and whenever we would stop filming, all of us would just go back to our school and normal lives. Because the show wasn't popular until it was syndicated, which was 3 years after we stopped filming. So we've stopped filming the college years in 93, 94, and then by 96, when it was syndicated, it became much more popular.
Crazy.
But we all lived normal lives. We all went back to our schools and our friends, and it was no big deal that we were actually on TV because nobody watched Saved by the Bell Saturday mornings. Okay, take it easy. Take it easy.
I mean, as a kid growing up in the 90s in Scotland, in Glasgow, so
Yeah.
far removed from the super colourful image that was being beamed into my television, you know, I was looking at it going, I really want a red locker. Oh my God. We didn't have things like that. And, you know, everyone was so cool and everyone,
See, that's funny because I thought what was cool was 90210.
right.
Like that to me was like, I wanted to be dealing with drugs and fast cars.
The edgy
and
shit.
The edgy shit. And on Saved by the Bell, it was like, we're dealing with caffeine pills. Which were actually Red Hots, if anybody ever asks. So we were just popping those left and right. But yeah, it was you know, even my hair. I mean, that wasn't me.
It wasn't?
I dyed my hair for that for about 5-6 years.
Strange, like as a teenager, like to do that, go back to your life, you're dyeing your hair. Like, do you think you would have been a different sort of teenager had you not gone through that experience in Saved by the Bell?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that definitely shaped my career, for sure. It was actually difficult to get a job after Saved by the Bell because you were being typecast as like, oh, that's a blonde kid from Saved by the Bell, and you're like, you'd come in, you know, with brunette hair, and one of my first jobs, oddly enough, was for NBC with Candace Cameron Bure, where I sexually assault her. Yay. But that was my first role back, and my hair was my natural color, and the thing was called Freshman Fall.
Was that
Freshman
the name of the
Fall.
color?
No, that's not the name of the color.
right,
That was
I
the name
was
of the
like,
movie.
All right.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Could
yeah.
have been the color of my hair at the time. Yeah.
I like that. You know, that should just go down. It's official now. We're calling it Freshman Fall. So my hair was totes Freshman Fall, you guys. I wanted to ask, you know, just generally what people say to you, because for me, growing up, Saved by the Bell, again, the cultural difference there, I just looked at America at the time and I was like, this is so American. And I'm living in Glasgow. Glasgow shit. I want to be in America. And that's how I saw it, you know, being a young kid in the 90s. You know, but like, how, generally speaking, what do people say to you when they come and meet you now? What are the kind of things that they connect to about the show? Because I hold it close to my heart.
Yeah, they connect their childhood to me. Like they thank me. I'm like, well, I feel awkward that you're thanking me because I was just on your TV.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we had that experience together. But yeah, there's just like, you know, it's like I always like when people come up to me. Because I don't really look like the character. You know, obviously, we all age or whatever, but also I'm always playing characters. After Saved by the Bell, years later, I was on NYPD Blue, and that was a different character. Franklin and Bash was a different character. Pitch, Passage, like I'm constantly playing characters because it's fun for us as actors to play and challenge ourselves and sort of immerse yourself into a character. But people will come up to me and go, "Did we go to school together?" And I'm like, "Kinda," you know, because they don't know where they kind of like, "You look familiar." I've actually had it where she's actually a friend of ours now, but when we first met her, she couldn't put her finger on, and at the end of the night, her name is Ashley, and Ashley came up to my wife and I and said, Do you know me? Like, you've met me before? And I'm like, no, I really haven't. She's like, huh? I'm not. I don't look familiar to you. I'm like, no. And
She just leaned into it.
She really did lean into it. But I should have leaned into it. Yeah. But then she was mortified the day later when her husband's like, do you know who that was? So,
oh my God.
Yeah,
What strange.
but we're friends now, so. It's a happy story.
What a strange experience. Talking about immersing yourself in characters. Have there been any characters over the years that you've really enjoyed playing, like immersing yourself in?
Yeah, I really liked Pitch because I was a baseball player. And we played baseball all day long and trained, and it was you know, that was like a dream job. NYPD Blue was a dream job because I was working with Dennis Franz, Sipowicz, one of the finest actors of our generation. So going to work every day with him was just amazing. Yeah, Franklin and Bash. I was working with one of my best friends, Breckenmeyer. Yeah, there's just a lot of I think every job you do, you take something from it. I just worked on a new show that's coming to NBC in the fall. It's called Found, and I just worked with Shanola Hampton, who is a very amazing, genuine, just bright light, and she was on Shameless for all the years. And yeah, she's like, family now. So, there's just like every job you take something from it. Yeah. And of course, with Saved by the Bell. I mean, we're still all friendly and we keep in touch and text each other and, find out how we're all doing.
I'm wondering, like, these days though with social media and the pressure, I mean, I used to teach, and I used to teach like college students 18 to 25, and I taught them social media, believe it or not, and marketing. And they grew up, they're sort of Gen Z, and a lot of people give Gen Z a lot of flack, but there's a lot of pressure on social media, and they know it. They know that their attention span is small because of TikTok and so on. If you were a teenager now, growing up in that environment, how do you think that experience would change you now with that pressure, as well as being on people's TV sets?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to theorize like how it would be now, but all I can say is back then, thank goodness there was no social media, because we were dumb. Yeah. We were kids. I mean, you think like, I remember, 10 years ago or something when Justin Bieber was like 18 or whatever. He like egged his neighbor's house or something, which is stupid because it's your neighbor. It's like, dude, I see you on the cameras. Yeah. Like lobbing eggs over from your place. Like,
he's also a kid, or was a kid?
When he was a kid, yeah, he was a kid, and I was like, and then it spread all over social, and I'm like, I used to egg not my neighbor's house, but other people's, because that's what you did as a kid. Yeah. TP a house or whatever like that. I mean, we did some really dumb things. We did a lot of dumb things on the set of Saved by the Bell.
Did you
and
know?
Had there been social or any sort of,
could have gone viral.
Could have been canceled.
Or could have been a big hit.
Or could have been a big hit. It could have been a huger hit. You just never know. But I'm thankful my childhood was not steeped in that and have to deal with the pressures and likes and all that stuff. That my kids, I have a 19 and a 16-year-old, and they're in it, and it's a different environment. I don't know. I have a lot of respect for the actors that are coming up now, the young actors that have to deal with all that, and they do it really well, and they're so talented. Back in my day, you were sort of, if you were a TV actor, you remained a TV actor, and you didn't go outside your lane. And nowadays, I feel like the actors, they're just multi-talented. They're singers, they're writers, they're actors, they're everything, dancers. I mean, it's incredible. It's really incredible. And where I noticed that the most was when we did the Saved by the Bell, the reboot. The actors on that show, the young actors, were just so multi-talented. I was actually jealous.
It's mad.
Yeah, they were like all Marios. Mario was multi-talented. I hated him when we were growing up because he was like a dancer, which I don't know. I was like more into sports, but then again, he was like a state wrestling champion, so I was like, I hate him for that. And then he was like a singer, and I'm like, oh gosh, this guy can do everything. He can do everything. What do you do? I just act. But yeah.
That's the thing.
But now most of those young actors, they're all like mini Marios.
Oh my God.
Great athletes, great performers.
But still, like, I feel like we perhaps, not to sound like two old fogies on the stage, but I feel like we perhaps, because I feel, welcome to like the fireside chat with me and Mark-Paul. I just feel like, I look back at photos at my parents' house and I'm like, I'm glad that fashion does not exist on Instagram, and I'm glad my little rotund self that was like a little sort of sad teenager doesn't exist anywhere. I'm kind of glad that we grew up without that lens, you know?
Yeah, and that's why I've been very protective. I'm not active on social anymore. I'm pretty fragile in that way. I like to just not know what's out there sometimes, and just live my little life with my family and my close friends and things like that. But when I was active on social, I was very protective of my children, because there was one comment years and years ago. It's like 15 years ago. Somebody said something about my son, and I was like, I can't deal with this. I literally wanted to find this person. I'm like, just tell me where you live. Just give me your address. And it is, the worst thing is if my son, and by the way, my son's 19 now, but if he would have read that, read that comment, it's not something that you want to expose them to. So I was like, I'm never going to take photos of my kids.
No, that's good dadding right there.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people out there that's their brand, and they do it, and they're very good at like compartmentalizing, and that's their thing. And I'm just not like that. I'm sensitive.
No, it's not a one size fits all. What star sign are you?
Pisces.
Well, that's why. Sensitive. Any Pisces in the house?
Yeah.
Pisces are wonderful. They're so creative and in their heads and sensitive, and it's a cute sign. I'm a Libra.
A Libra.
Yeah, big on my Libra friends.
Libra.
Yes.
What?
We're the scales. We're the only symbol in the zodiac that's an inanimate object.
It's the scales. It's the things. October then.
October 12th.
There you go.
Yep. Anyway, sorry, I love
October. I just learned this last night. The reason why I had to fly in and take the red eye, my daughter and I had our first father-daughter dance, and so I didn't want to miss that. I have a 16-year-old daughter, and we used to do that, back in the day, and we've done like 5 of them. But this is my 8-year-old daughter's first one, so I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss that. But there, it's like once we, you think you have this vision like you're gonna be dancing with your daughter all night. With the minute we walk in, she's with her friends, and you're like, oh great, I'm glad I got dressed up. And so you're just talking with the dads. But one of the dads said we were talking about signs, which is kind of odd for dads to be talking about. But he was a Libra, and his birthday was October 5th. And October 5th, he said, this is according to him, Joe. Joe says October 5th is the most popular birthday because if you think backwards, it's New Year's. So, yep, your parents were high-fiving on New Year's. Like, yeah, we did it.
Yep.
We're going to have a baby in October.
Well, I'll get very Scottish and say that was festive shagging.
Yeah, there you go.
Festive shagging. I wanted to ask you about, because you mentioned pitch earlier and you're into sports. From an acting perspective, I'm very interested. When you have that skill or have a skill in real life, then you go into a role and you're playing something within that skill, something similar. Do you learn more, or does it, what do you come out of?
Yeah, I was a casual baseball fan. Didn't play baseball growing up as much because it was an organized sport and because of our work. It was hard to do organized sports, so my sport was I was into motocross and racing cars and bicycles, anything sort of solo. But team sports was, I loved team sports, and I thought I was going to be a football player at one point. But that never happened, obviously. But baseball was one of those casual sports that I really liked, but I really fell in love when we were training for pitch. And just my youngest son, my 9-year-old, is actually playing right now, Little League, and he's on club. And my daughter is in softball, and she plays rec and club as a softball player. So baseball and softball are huge now. And that love started, just blew up when I was doing pitch. But I was also being trained by Major League current players and former players, and that is such a cool aspect of what we do, the sort of research side, and like with NYPD Blue, I got to for a month I would do ride-alongs and just shadow detectives in New York. When I did Raising the Bar, I interned at a public defender's office and actually went into the courtroom as an intern and got to see behind the scenes. Wasn't supposed to, because I'm obviously attorney-client privileges, but I was like, no one recognized me because on that show I had long hair.
Of course.
So they were like, again, it was probably one of those where, did we go to school together? But yeah, that's the most fun that you can have as an actor is all the prep work before.
Yeah.
I mean, for the passage, I mean, I got to go and do weapons training in Atlanta with Delta Force guys. And I'm like, this is awesome.
Is there any one particular skill that you've learned through your years that you're like, wow, I'm pretty good at this? I didn't think I was actually really good at it. Like, it could be like weapons, it could be something like that. Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, when I did the passage, my character was Special Forces, so I went to go train with Delta Force, and then also in LA, I trained with Taryn Butler, who does all the John Wick movies. And so if you look on Instagram and you see Keanu Reeves, there's this guy, Taryn Butler, and he's the one that all the weapons that John Wick has are all made by Taryn. But Taryn is an unbelievable competitive pistol shooter. And I'd go to his place, and yeah, it was one of those things. I'm pretty darn good at this. And then you see him do it, and you're like, I suck. Yeah. But I was better than at the time. He was like, you're one of the best actors. I'm like, I'll take that. You know.
Oh, that's high praise.
You're better than John Barenthal, and now John's there all the time. So John's probably better than me. But
God damn it, John.
Yeah, that was fun. It's things like that you're just like, that's why you don't want to, stop the role, because you're like, I want to keep doing this.
Yeah, oh my God, I love hearing. I always ask that question because I like hearing what comes back. People say shooting arrows or riding horses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never.
Yeah,
had
riding
that.
horses, that'd be fun.
That would be fun.
I used to have horses though.
I'm scared of horses. I'm quite scared.
Yeah, they're a
of them.
pain in the ass.
Yeah, I get that. I kind of feel that. Now,
See, I come from a motorcycle background where you could just start the thing and ride, and with horses, it's like, oh God, how you feeling today? You feel like riding? Here, have some oats.
Yeah.
Well, you
gotta
get you
warm
all
up.
hopped up. You got to warm them up. You got to talk to them.
It can
and
be nice.
You got to be nice, and then when you take them out, they want to just go back. They go slow out and then fast back. You're like, oh.
I can see why you do things solo. You like the solo stuff. You just like to go.
Yeah.
Guys, now I've got a little quick fire round for Mark-Paul, but before I get to it, there's a mic in the middle of the room. If anybody has any questions, please don't be shy. Please stand up, and we'd love to.
Don't be shy, because we can't see you.
Exactly.
These lights are so bright. You have no idea. I mean, it really
Everyone
is bright,
start
isn't it?
queuing up. I know, God.
It really is bright.
I feel like I'm getting a bloody tan just sitting on the stage. Okay, let's do this quick fire round. Now, Mark-Paul, I know that your lovely wife is Scottish or comes from Scottish
Oh, look at
heritage.
that. They turned him down a little bit.
Thank you,
Hi,
lovely
guys.
crew.
I can see you now.
I mean, we only...
Hi. Oh, my gosh.
Hello. Thank
There's
you to
actually
the-
people out there.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
The
My
crew
wife
are
is Scottish. Yeah.
So
Well,
your wife is Scottish.
she's actually English, which killed her Scottish parents.
Yes, you were telling me.
Yeah. So my in-laws are Scottish, very, very Scottish. They're from the borders of Scotland, Galashiels and Peoples, which is just south of Edinburgh and sort of east of where you're from.
Yes.
But because of my father-in-law's job, he had to take a job in England. And if you know anything about Scots, they hate the English more than anything. It's just a thing.
I don't know. I just feel love. I've only got love in my heart.
Except when you play football. But because of his job, he was in England, and my wife and her sister were both born in England. So he had these two English daughters, and so whenever they had to go back over the border to go visit family, it just killed him that his two English daughters with their accents were not Scottish.
Well.
He begged my mother-in-law to drive over the border when she was in labor. It's like, just please get in the car so we can have these kids in Scotland.
Well, you got to do this for the Scottish side of the family now. This is
Yeah.
it. You're going to have to get every single one of these questions right.
Okay.
No pressure.
Sounds good, no pressure.
This is the Scottish words test.
Oh, gosh.
Mark-Paul's like, yeah, no problem, bye. I'm going to give you one word.
Okay.
Okay, and you're going to tell me what it means. Okay. Blether. you want a sentence?
No, yeah, I'll take a sentence. Yeah.
I bloody love having a good blether.
A chat? No. A blether. I don't know what that is. I really don't. I don't think I've ever heard it. What? A chat?
He's chatter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, to have a wee we're having a blether right now.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we're having a wee
look at
blether.
that.
There you go.
Hey.
Hey, round of applause.
It's sort of rubbed off on me.
My Scottishness is you're feeling
All
it.
right, all
I'm transmitting the
Boy, I
energy.
pulled
you guys.
that out of you know what.
That was good.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, Crabbit. Crabbit. So, oh my God, he's awful Crabbit today.
Oh, like not grumpy, but like crabby, like almost like right, like kind
Grumpy.
of like grumpy.
You got it right.
Oh,
A round
all
of
right.
applause.
I
You are doing so well.
I feel like no matter what I say, you're gonna say I got it right. Like a Crabbit, I could be like, he was happy-go-lucky. You're right. No.
You know, you are doing really
Okay.
well. Really
Thank you.
well.
Thank you.
Like, you're holding the side up.
Thank you.
Okay, this one's going to be harder. Bowfin. 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 Like, that's Bowfin.
Oh, you just said it's gross.
Yeah, unpleasant.
Yeah, unpleasant.
There you go.
Yeah,
Cool, you got it
all
right. Round of applause.
You're just
again.
a really good actor. I'm like feeding on. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have to be a bit more
Yeah.
po-faced.
Yeah.
Okay, Egypt. Like, oh, God, what an Egypt.
Idiot. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, right. Round of
Egypt.
applause again. Excellent. You're doing so well. Tatty. I'm not even going to give you a sentence. You should know this one. Tatty.
Not like a tart.
Anyone know? Hands up if you know what it is. Should we hand it to?
I see him right there.
Okay, what? Sir, shout it out. No. Someone else? You right here?
What'd you say?
That's it, potato.
A tatty.
Yeah, tatty.
A tatty.
Yeah, like tat.
Like a tat, yeah, like a
tatty.
tatty.
Like tatty mash.
A tatty. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Greet.
Greet?
Yeah, just greet.
Great.
No. Like okay.
That's greet.
I'll give you a sentence. Okay, the sentence is, the panel didn't go very well. I'm pure greeting.
Huh. I don't know. What does it mean?
To greet means to cry.
Oh, really?
Are you greeting? Like,
Oh.
that means to cry.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Greet.
I've never heard that one either.
And this is the last one. It's boke. B-O-K-E. Boke. Like, oh, I'm going to boke.
I mean, you're going to vomit?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Excellent. Okay, round of applause. Huge round of
Boke.
applause. That's hard.
Wow.
You know what? You did so much better than Misha.
I'm telling you, it's so much fun to go to Scotland, though, because they're some of the nicest people. A little less than Glasgow, I would imagine. But you guys are pretty special in Glasgow.
I think we're just quite forward and straight up.
Very straight up.
Yeah, we're quite straight up.
Edinburgh is a little more, they're just a little more reserved.
They've got funny accents in Edinburgh for me.
Is it really?
From Edinburgh, like, go, get the baby off the ceiling. Like, the East, sorry, I'm sorry if I offended
But they
anyone.
are Scotland as a whole, are some of the best people. And you just go into any pub and they're forward, they're in your face.
Yeah.
But they're genuine and it's like, I don't think they like me. And you're still having a beer with a pint.
It's the accent,
And
you
they
can't
just,
really
no,
tell.
you can't really tell. But it's just, I love going there. We go there at least once a year. And my wife's grandparents are 100 years old, both of them, still living. And so we're going to actually go this summer and see them.
Well, you must try and make a trip to Glasgow.
Yeah, I actually wanted my daughter to go to school in Glasgow.
I went to Glasgow University.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah,
They have a great animating department in Glasgow, and I
Nice.
wanted her to go there, and she's thinking about it.
Oh, yeah, she'll
Yeah.
have a good time in
Yeah.
Glasgow
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Like, for sure.
Yeah.
Guys,
Are you a Celtics or a Rangers fan?
I don't know if I want it recorded because I'll get into
Oh, is
such
that
bad
right?
trouble. It's
Is
so
that right?
bad. But my family's
I'm a Rangers fan.
Family is
So.
Celtic.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right.
That's
That's
can
okay.
we still be friends?
Of course.
Okay, cool.
Of
We'll get the
course.
bottle of water
Yeah,
between
yeah,
us. It's
yeah,
fine. It's
yeah,
fine. I'm just
yeah.
not going to look him in the eye for the rest of
yeah,
the
that's all
for the
right.
rest of the
That's
panel.
all right.
Just going to look into this light here. Guys, round of applause for that first part of the interview. Then we'll go into the fans. Thanks, Mark-Paul. Okay. Hello, my lovely.
Hey.
Please tell me your name and what is your question?
I'm Jennifer. You have had an impressive range of types of characters that have gone so far beyond your start in comedy, and you were frighteningly convincing as a psychopath murderer on CSI. The twins. What has been your favorite genre to play? And to add to that, was it enjoyable to finally do a supernatural show or not?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I really enjoyed The Passage because that was supernatural.
Wish it hadn't been canceled. That was a great show.
I know, you and me both, and it's one of those things like you can't understand what we do in this business. You know, you think you're doing some great work, and honestly, it's just if we don't find an audience, and it's really hard for network. It's unlike streaming, where streaming you're kind of on your own schedule. It's like if you watch it whenever you want to watch it, like most of us. There's very few shows that we watch when it's coming out, but that's how network works, right? So with The Passage, it was an extremely ambitious show. It should have been on streamers. We should have just been on Hulu from the start, but with network, you have to watch those shows on the night they come out, and that's the only metric they really look at. They'll look at the 3-day metric, they'll look at 7-day metric, but really, they really look at that metric of when you're watching it that night that it comes out. And that's the fate of Pitch, that's the fate of The Passage, is that we didn't have the viewers the night it came out. They'd watch it a few days later, but it wasn't enough, especially when it's that expensive. But I really enjoyed that show, and you know, chasing vampire, or being chased by vampire.
Is that a weird switch to?
No, not really,
imaginary?
because you know, I find drama to be a little bit easier than comedy. Comedy for me is a little bit more difficult. You know, I don't know that I could actually do a show like Saved by the Bell, the original one. When we did the reboot is single camera, almost shot like a drama. You know, where you don't have an audience, but to be in front of an audience, it's a different muscle, and it's something that when I go and see my friends who are on shows where they have a live audience and it's a sitcom atmosphere, that's a different. Everything's timing, and it's like you're hitting words, and if you don't hit it, it's not funny, and it's like this whole rhythm. And I just don't know that I have that rhythm. So for me, doing drama or like single camera comedies are easier for me.
Well, I'm glad you made the leap to something different.
Yeah, thanks. I may go do a sitcom. You never know. I mean,
Thank you.
there's not that many out there, like true sitcoms.
Thank you. Hello, my dear. What's your name and what's your question?
Hi, my name is Letitia. My question is, sorry, I'm trying to think of two first, sorry. How did your relationships with your daughters influence what you did with The Passage? And would you lean further into genre, like doing something like The Witcher or something?
Yeah, I mean, if they want to give me a role like The Witcher, that'd be fun. Anybody watching The Last of Us?
No spoilers.
No spoilers. But anybody think like, oh my, if you watch The Passage and then The Last of Us, you're kind of like, it's kind of the same thing, in a way, just a little bit. But yeah, it was very easy for me to fall into that role of wanting to protect the girl, and having that father-daughter relationship was pretty easy. Sanaya is an amazing actor. That was actually a tough shoot to do, long hours. We had massive crews and obviously a lot of people in makeup, and it was a very ambitious show for network. And Sanaya, being a child, could only work a certain amount of hours. So, and she's almost in every scene. And a little behind the scenes kind of thing is that we would do all her coverage. So, you know, the cameras would do it, and then we'd skip to another scene, and then she would leave, and then we would have a tennis ball, and that would be her character, or you'd have like a stand-in, because of child labor laws, she couldn't be there. So that was actually a hard thing to do, because a lot of the really serious things where you're, crying over this little girl, it wasn't even her. It's like, I'm just looking at a tennis ball. So, good stuff, good fun.
But you did learn how to braid hair?
I know how to braid hair, yeah.
Thank you.
I knew that before, though. I knew that before working with Sanaya and doing that. Yeah, that's how I got away with, like, my daughter's hair would get, like after a shower, her hair in the morning would be really knotted, so I would braid it at night so I didn't have to brush it in the morning. Lazy parenting.
That's what my mom did.
Yeah,
It's
of
good.
course.
Yeah,
You just don't
it's
wanna mess
easy
with that.
parenting.
Yeah.
Hello, friend. What's your name? What's your question?
My name's Erin. I used to watch Franklin and Bash. That was like one of my favorite shows. And
Yeah, but you liked me better than the little guy.
a little bit.
Yeah. No, a lot bit. A lot bit. How dare you?
I was wondering if you had a favorite memory filming that show.
No, you know what? That was some of the best. I mean, I smile whenever I think of our tenure on that. That was from 2010 to 2014. A lot of things happened in my life. Went through a divorce. Brecken went through a divorce. Met my wife. Had a child with my wife. There's this picture of Brecken holding my son that still makes me laugh to this day. It was just a really good time in our lives, and it was just like working with Brecken. Working with one of your best friends it makes the days fly by. You can't wait to go back to work the next day. There was a moment where he wrote an episode, I directed it. It was just some of the highlights of my career, and the work was pretty good too. I mean, you could see it. I mean, when it pops off the screen like that, it's because we are really enjoying ourselves, and everything was clicking. The writing was clicking. All the other actors were clicking.
Yeah, it was
just had a
sad
great
when
time.
it got canceled.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we worked on it for 4 years. We only did 40 episodes. It was 10 episodes a year, and we were basically sitting on our butts for 9 months out of the year because it only took 3.5 months to film. And then we were just kind of waiting around to see if we'd get picked up again. I really hoped that we could reboot that show, and we've been trying.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we've been trying, but we're having a hard time pulling it away from the people that actually own it. So, but Brecken and I would do it in a heartbeat. So we're actually thinking, you know what, we're gonna develop something else.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And try to work together on something.
Yes.
So Brecken's actually writing it right now. It's a idea that I've had for a long time. It would be it would be similar in the sense of like our characters, but I wouldn't obviously play Peter Bash or Jared Franklin. I don't know who I was.
For Peter Bash.
I was?
Yeah.
You say so.
Thank you, friend. Hello, my dear. What's your name and what's your question?
My name's Brad.
Sure.
And I'm a little self-conscious now because everyone's asked all these good questions about later in life. And I have two things I've always wondered about Saved by the Bell. Number one, on the Tori episodes, was there any pushback from the cast or producers or anyone to explain the missing characters at all? Like where these girls were?
Yeah, no. I mean, my buddy Dashiell Driscoll, who created Zach Morris's Trash, he also is my co-host for my podcast that we did during the pandemic called Zach to the Future. He also was a writer on the reboot. Dashiell, when I first heard about him, wrote a script about the Tory years, and it was really funny. I wish he would kind of put that out online, but it kind of explained like that whole Tory thing. But us as being on the show, I don't remember. I mean, go figure. But I don't remember us questioning too much or even caring really. A lot of things didn't make sense on Saved by the Bell. I mean, we were in Indiana for Miss Bliss, and then we're in Pacific Palisades. And like, how did that happen? And only 3 of us go, and what happened to the other cast? Yeah. The Tory thing was just, I think that why that happened was because I think Elizabeth or Tiffany, one of them wanted to kind of venture off. And we were supportive of that, obviously, but they had to bring in somebody else. So.
Real quick, my other question. I grew up loving Saved by the Bell, and I grew up loving pro wrestling. And I was wondering if you happen to know who was responsible for all the wrestling jokes, because there's episodes where Zach is reading a wrestling magazine in detention, and there's jokes of like, he's gonna make you Andre the Giant shoehorn. And like, I would always be really happy when those two worlds would cross over. And I didn't know if someone on the cast or a producer or a writer was a fan.
No, we never.
Remember?
No, I don't remember, but it would not have been nothing on Saved by the Bell was ever ad-libbed. That was always written, so it was written by the writers. And yeah, we never ad-libbed on that show, so there must have been a writer on the show that was a fan of it.
Thanks.
So we've only got time for a couple more questions, then we have to do a stage selfie. So this gentleman here, then this lady, and then everyone behind this lady here has to go back to their seats. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And
Come by the booth.
And
Ask
you as well. I'm sorry, lovely lady with the blue hair, you as well.
Come by
I'm
the booth.
sorry. You have to sit down as well. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's the look in the eyes when they go to the seat. I'm bad cop here. I'm so sorry. Okay, and one question each so we can get through them. Okay, what's your name?
All right, the name's Raymond, and my question for out of all Saved by the Bell episodes I've watched through reruns before is on Peacock. Zach Morris and Mr. Belding had a history together of all the other episodes I've seen. What was the best memorable relationship between you and Mr. Belding?
Yeah, I mean, Dennis Haskins, I think I talk about this on the podcast quite extensively, but I have so much respect for Dennis now. Not then, because I was a 16-year-old and didn't really care about anybody except for myself, because that's what 16-year-olds do. But looking back, I mean, he did such an amazing job on the show, and I think Dennis doing the show would have been probably 10 years younger than I am right now, playing the principal, which is pretty crazy. But he was such a professional. It's not easy doing the dialogue that he had to do, and he was a trained actor. But he was. I have nothing but fond memories of Dennis. He was very supportive of all of us. He was kind of like a big brother on the set, and made our job a lot easier.
Thank you so much for your question. Thank you. Last but not least, my dear, what's your name? What's your question?
Rachel, I was wondering, because one of my favorite things you did, most people don't even know what it is. So what is like one movie or TV show that you think a lot of people don't know? Mine's Atomic Twister, so.
Atomic Twister.
Good question.
Sharon Lawrence, right? Sharon Lawrence, yeah. She was on NYPD Blue, and the funny thing about that one was that was filmed in New Zealand, and it was right before I got NYPD Blue, and I think I actually got NYPD Blue, but I wasn't supposed to start until the fall, and so I filmed that in the summer, and I just remember that was with the tornado. It was a tornado.
Yeah.
Okay, and like we had these fans, these huge fans. They're called Ritters. I should have thrown that at you. A Ritter. A Ritter. But a Ritter. And I just remember like, oh my God, my corneas are going to be scratched because they would just throw dust in it and like, throw it up in your face. Yeah, that's one of those movies that's an oldie but goodie. There's a really, really shitty one called Specimen. Does anybody know that one?
Yes, there's a
No
few nominees.
way.
Yeah.
Ugh. Eesh. That's one of those that, I mean, you do things when you're, and I think that was during the time where it might fall into the category where I was having a really hard time not being typecast because of Saved by the Bell. And so I think that was shot in Toronto, very low budget thing. But yeah, there's that. There's DC. DC was actually a good show. Has anybody seen that one? That was a Dick Wolf show. I thought that was going to go forever. That was in '98. And it was written by John August. John August wrote the movie Go. So very talented writer. And with Dick Wolf, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is going to go forever. It didn't. Did 10 episodes in Toronto and went home.
Good question.
Yeah.
Thank you, my dear. Can we have a round of applause for all of those questions? And a reminder, if you didn't get to ask a question and you had to sit down or you were too shy, Mark-Paul is here all weekend, right?
Yeah, until tomorrow.
So you should go say hi and you can ask questions then, can't you?
No, don't ask questions.
Okay.
Don't talk to me.
Okay.
Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. No,
Don't look him in the eye. In fact,
That's what we're here for. We're here to, it's the only time actually that we get to say hi to fans and people who, have followed you through your career or just, caught on last year when the show spoke to them. So come by, say hi.
Yeah, do.
Good.
Mark-Paul, it's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you.
We're going to do a stage selfie,
Okay.
so you guys can get involved. But before we do that, a huge round of applause for Mark-Paul.
Thank you.